You can run for more than... Whoa.
Oh! What the hell is that? You guys remember Slenderman? Of course you do. Well, how about this? Do you guys remember that there was a Slenderman movie? You do, right? Of course, it came out last year. What you probably don't know is that it had a $28 million budget, and as you can see, it clearly paid off. Yes, it was garbage. I'd much rather watch Silent Hill Revelation 3D. Hello everyone, welcome back to GameTalk, where we talk about games. And as you guys know, it's Halloween month, so the lights must be off. And this time we're actually going to go over a horror game and not the tales of Mr. No-Jaw and Walking Dried Apricot. But to be honest, I probably could have picked something better. I'm sure most of us remember the first time we used the internet. Unless you're 3 and you're watching this video, then you definitely won't remember. But if you are 3, I do recommend staying away from the channel because I do say a lot of nasty words. For example, heck. But yeah, I remember back in the day, during the early stages of YouTube, me watching Family Guy clips with my cousins, knowing that if my mum found out we were watching that, she would whip out that wooden spoon. And just saying that brings back awful memories of that lethal weapon. Or later on in the internet, where everyone and their mother would clickbait boobs in video thumbnails, or make video tutorials on how to get the ray gun in Black Ops 1 multiplayer, or of course send disguised hyperlinks in forums and message boards, only for Rick Astley's Never Gonna Give You Up music video to play, given the infamous name Rick Roll. You get it, I've been here for a long time. Though something else that I've witnessed spawn from the internet a while ago, I feel as if it's run its course. And that, of course, is Slenderman. Slenderman started off as an internet mystery, showing up in blurry photographs where he'd just be standing in the woods blending with the tree line, or lurking around children looking all sketchy. Obviously, it wasn't real, and actually came from a Photoshop contest in this Something Awful forum, where users competed against each other in creating paranormal images. This blew up and started up internet conspiracies, with many discussing his existence in forums, eventually leading to an appearance in the Creepypasta wiki, and I was really interested in this. I was young, so I, for the most part, thought it was real. Don't bully me. And a lot of the photos look so eerie and realistic that I joined interest with the rest of the internet about this myth. And I say myth because technically Slenderman has roots to back in ancient times, and I do recommend looking it up. And rightfully so, because there is something about tall, lanky, shadowy figures that do trigger an instinctive emotion in us. The figure is not exactly human-like, but it isn't stretching the boundaries to say that it's non-human. There's a weird middle ground between human and non-human that Slenderman falls under, that those who look at it can't help but just feel unnerved. The same thing applies for the monsters designed for Silent Hill 2. Look at these examples. As I said before, humanoid. Not exactly human, but not far off non-human either. And that is when I loved Slenderman, when he was this eerie figure the internet feared. But when I completely lost touch with Slenderman was with the games. Tell me why there are so many Slender games, all the same as the last, and some that actually cost money. All this was a mess. And 2012 YouTube with every YouTuber and their pet goldfish milking absolutely all the games as they were coming out. Yeah, somehow 2019 YouTube is better than 2012 YouTube. Yeah. I think Slenderman became too popular for his own good, as the same thing happened with him that happens with all things that get too popular. Oversaturation. Too much of one thing is not good, especially considering the quality of the games in the first place. Yes, the Slender games are not good. They're a perfect example of simplistic and boring game design. And yeah, that's a little bit harsh considering that they're basically all indie games, but the fact that they got so much praise and popularity in the first place, dare I say, is undeserved. Even for indie games, they're nothing special. Collect items while there's a teleporting CPU chasing you. Did it have to explode like that? I mean, what about SCP Containment Breach? That came out before the first Slender game and has similar mechanics with the teleporting CPU, but had an immensely better map design, tenser atmosphere, way scarier monsters, and game mechanics that would fight against you. And that doesn't get anywhere near as much praise as the spooky no-face tentacle man. But today we're going to be covering the original Slender game, otherwise known as Slender, the 8 Pages. The thing is about this game, while it is a free download indie game, from my knowledge, I don't think it's available for download anymore. And of course, if you don't know why that is, someone stabbed their friend multiple times so they could please Slenderman. Yeah, what a great idea. If any of my mates are watching, be careful. I might stab you after this. Don't worry, it's nothing personal. Just old mate Slender down the road wanted me to do it. So the version I'm going to be playing today actually has been saved from a flash drive and converted over to my hard drive, that I've had since the 6th grade. Ah, my old nemesis, the Unity boot screen. You've held some amazing titles in the past. This was pretty common for indie developers to use back then, so I won't complain. Of course my graphics would be fantastic. I want to clearly see all of Slender's glorious features. Alright, right into gameplay. Fairly simple objective, collect all upside down 8 pages. Pages of what though? Pages of a Harry Potter book? Pages of the thick Tekken 1 manual? The yellow fucking pages? You need to be more specific, game. WASD to move, mouse to look around, shift to sprint. Well, I wouldn't exactly call that sprinting. Walking at a turtle's pace rather than a snail's pace, maybe.
Slow down! I want to get there, but I want to get there alive!
And F or right mouse button to turn your flashlight on and off. Whether that's actually useful or not is beyond me because there is no battery to the flashlight. As you can instantly see, slow. Very slow. And the map? Big. Very big. Yeah, getting from one place to another in this game is like being forced to drive 10 kilometers per hour everywhere you go, no matter what the speed limit is. But the main objective, of course, is to find pages. And these pages are just A4 pieces of paper with some crude drawing or writing on them. Always watching. No eyes. Well, that's not possible. Help me. Well, what am I supposed to help you with? And how am I supposed to help you if you keep leaving pages on shit in a forest while it's pitch black out? Leave me alone. Wait, I thought you wanted me to help you. No. Don't look, or it takes you. Takes me where? KFC? Can't run. Yeah, I know I can't run. Have you seen how fast I've been moving? The pages aren't just randomly placed on trees throughout the map, however, would be placed on certain landmarks such as big tree, Volvo, rock, bathroom in the middle of the forest without any toilets right next to a set of oil drums, a big cock sticking out of the ground. It's pretty easy to understand the map as the forest has a trail through it leading to all the landmarks, but the whole place is surrounded by a fence, so if you do lose your bearings, it would be as easy to regain them. I can show you a rough layout of the map. So the big square represents the fences. There's basically a big circle around the map representing the trail. There's a big open part in the middle. And these are the trees. The map does seem a bit confusing at first, but does get understandable after a little bit. Now after you get one page... Okay, you know what? That was a decent scare. The only sounds you heard before this was your own footsteps along with like bug sounds, so it really does sink in now that as you have one page, shit is about to go down. And I can tell you right now for a fact, shit definitely does go down. Goes fucking downhills where it goes. Now that you have one page and the deep drum music has started, that means Slender is loose. You won't see him very often this early on, but you'll wonder when you're walking and why all of a sudden you're turning into a TV. And what do you know, there he is, in the distance. The static thing, I don't get. Why does static appear when Slender's in your field of vision? And why did it become a thing in the later games as well? Though the way the static works is that if you look long enough at Slender, the static gets more intense until eventually... you die? I don't know, the game just ends after you see a close-up of an egg with a suit. Slenderman will constantly teleport when you're not looking at him, always getting progressively closer. Sometimes he'll teleport someone in front of you, or he'll teleport pretty much right behind you, so when you look behind you... Whoa, a jump scare, wow. Yeah, sure, the jump scares do get you at first, but after like 2 or 3, you can tell when they're about to show up. And this brings up predictability. The best horror games play with your reflexes and won't jump scare you very often, and will usually rely on pure terror and what the hell is going on around you to scare you. Also, they like to sometimes trick you and making you think jump scare is about to show up, but nothing happens. But when they do decide to do something... it will completely catch you off guard. The problem with Slender is that there's no scares besides the jump scares, which makes every scare predictable, thus making every scare not really a scare now, does it? I know a lot of people like to claim that Five Nights at Freddy's is also a jump scare fest, and as I also think that game blew up more than it should have, at least the game is very tense. I cannot say the same thing about Slender. Yeah, sometimes there's these unpredictable static glitches, but where's the creativity in that? That's literally the equivalent of someone popping up and going... and sometimes he'll just automatically catch you, because that's what we call fair. I will give the game credit though, it does have a fairly decent atmosphere. As you collect more pages, Slenderman will become faster and more aggressive, and so will the music. If you have 0 pages, you will hear nothing but the sounds of your footsteps and the wildlife around you. When you have 1 or 2 pages, you'll hear the previously mentioned deep drum sounds along with the other noises. When you have 3 or 4 pages, you'll hear a pulsating droning sound added to the other sounds. When you have 5 or 6 pages, an overwhelming wind sound gets added. And at 7 pages, a glitchy high-pitched sound gets played at different frequencies. I actually love the music getting more aggressive along with Slenderman himself. It's a surprisingly good atmosphere when considering how underwhelming the game itself is. On the 7th page, I must admit, it was quite scary. Even the game's visuals is surprisingly good for a 2012 Unity game. The fog effects and the distance shade combined looks really good. The texturing itself is a bit off, and this can be seen if you go close to objects. It looks like not much care was given into the ceiling and the roof of the bathroom. Revisiting the game after all these years, the atmosphere really caught me off guard as I forgot how good it is. And you know what else caught me off guard? The music when you get 8 pages. That's right. Nothing. And Slender isn't anywhere. But you know what didn't catch me off guard? That. And that's basically it. There's not really much else to the game. There's no other levels or anything. There are other modes to play on, but they're just clones of the first mode with just something added to it. There's a Marble Hornet mode, which is based off the web series with the same name. It just adds a glitchy VCR effect on the other mode with some backstory before you start. Nothing much really. A daytime mode, which I just found ridiculous. Way to make Slender less scary. Besides, the game looks awful in daylight. And there is one more mode, which I have no clue what it is and how to unlock it, and quite frankly, I couldn't care less. I have better stuff to do with my time, such as twiddle my thumbs. See, my biggest problem with the game was a problem that I barely even covered. Slenderman himself. This iteration of Slenderman became the usual for the next games to be created. The bald man with no face in a suit. What happened to that creepy, lanky figure that blended with the tree line? When I look at this Slenderman, I think of 3 familiar faces, despite him having no face. Voldemort, Agent 47, and Nurgle from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy. Combine them and you have this. What initially made Slenderman creepy was his subtlety. The fact that you couldn't completely see him or his features was the creepy part, but now that you're in game and you can have a look at him, it ruins it because this is not scary. And maybe it has something to do with the map as well. These woods are too big, too easy to run from him. I have another Slender game called Slenderman Shadow, which has multiple settings with the same collect items concept, but with an escape mechanic after you've collected everything. But the coolest thing about this game is how claustrophobic you feel. It's not necessarily scary, but way more tense and supports this model of Slender. It made it the most right it could be, but unfortunately, this concept of Slenderman was never scary. Plus, the games are not in any way, shape or form good in terms of game design. Nevertheless though, Slender the 8 pages makes the bad list and gets a 3 out of 10. I completely understand why Slender got so popular, and I sort of get the appeal towards the games, but the praise they got was completely undeserved. It's just a 10-minute thrill ride with jump scares, and honestly, that's all it lasts, 10 minutes. I remember this game appearing at the top horror games list, and honestly, I hope they were joking, because if not, and people do see this as a great horror game, then honestly guys, I'm packing my bags and moving to Jupiter. You're welcome to join me if you want. Will I cover the other Slender games in the future? I mean, it is always a possibility, though I wouldn't count on it as they're all clones of each other. But thank you all so much for watching, and please, for the love of God, don't stab your friends to please Mr. No-Face Man. Slenderman? More like Enderman. Mind fucking blown. Hello once again, and thank you for making it to the end. Currently, I'm barely able to open my eyes as I'm recording this at 5:30 in the morning. Yeah, pretty good time to be still up, you know. But enough about me. If you enjoyed this video, a share and a like is definitely appreciated. And of course, the subscribe button is waiting there for you if you haven't clicked it already. And make sure to hit the bell after you've done that. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll talk to you before you know it. See you later.